All right, guys, what's up? We're here with Watchtower. We're going to do a interview with one of my favorite people. Honestly, he's been a mentor, a great friend for some years now, and I feel like he has a lot of value to give. You know what I mean? He's a very knowledgeable person, a very respectful person as well too, and I definitely got to pass it over to my man Zakar here. Zakar, I definitely want to have you do like an intro on yourself, tell people more about who you are, because honestly, I could talk for days, but this interview is about you.
Yeah, that's a really nice intro. I really appreciate that, man. It's a pleasure to be on this call with you, Rome. I see what you built in the community that you have, and it's definitely inspiring. And I'm happy to go ahead and reach as many people, so that we can impact a lot of people. Because just like yourself, who haven't started, trading 2, 3 years ago. I mean, you see how big of an opportunity it is. So, it's only right that we share more knowledge about it to help more people. So let's get it.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, tell me about yourself and what led you to trading. First of all, like what other jobs did you have first? Like, what was what did you want to be when you know what I mean? Tell me about that transition to trading.
Oh, wow. Man, other jobs, that's actually funny, but I found trading in 2015. But I had always knew that I would be very interested in trading and investing back from high school. Because economics was my favorite class. And my favorite part of it was them talking about price floors and price ceilings and economics, and them talking about stocks, and just the moment that opportunity of you could buy something of value and it could gain value over time, and you actually make a profit from that, and there's some people did that as a profession. That stuck out to me more than anything I ever heard. When I was young, my family used to tell me, I don't know. I feel like when you're young, everybody's telling you go be a doctor or a lawyer, right? That's what they're telling you. It's hilarious, but I guess that was the dream, 20 years ago. But in those, whenever they said it, I knew that okay, it could lead to money, it would lead to people being proud of me, but it never connected. Like it never struck like a heart chord, in me to say like that's really what you want to be passionate. And I actually did go to college for political science, to put myself in position. But ever since, it never left my mind. I actually went home as a high school student and went and searched like how to trade stocks. And I even tried to open up a stock trading demo account, but I just didn't understand what a limit order was. I just didn't understand how to do anything, and nobody in my family had any type of, knowledge about that. So I was just stuck, and I just let it go until 2015, and somebody introduced me to Forex, and I never put it down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And now, you yourself, you're an educator, naturally. You're someone that, will learn something and know that it's good for the masses and literally takes it back to your own community. So tell me about that, as far as the things that you've been able to do for your community and the impact that you've had in other people's lives from introducing Forex and trading and investing to them as well.
Yeah, it really honestly goes all the way back from when I first started trading Forex. Uh, my first opportunity to start teaching people, was probably within maybe only about a year and a half, almost 2 years after I started learning myself. I came to the realization that I could learn, different strategies well enough to teach other people, and that they didn't have to go through, 3 to 6 months of learning a strategy that I could honestly break down to them in a weekend. And I don't know, I just found out that I was really good at doing that I could help somebody see something and help them actually get results. And, I started teaching first for free. Then eventually, I realized, okay, time, time is money. I can't just do everything for free. But I actually first started teaching everybody for free. Everybody, like hundreds of people used to just hop on sessions with me, and I would just educate and teach my strategy or call trades, for different communities. And people actually, a lot of trading, like I guess network marketers early in the day, like before it got really popular, they would reach out to me, and they would say, hey, you can join my community for free. I just want you to just share your trades, share your knowledge,
Wow.
just to kind of legitimize their communities, that somebody actually had this skill down pat, because they didn't know how to necessarily trade,
Hmm.
but they knew that I did, and they knew that I know how to teach it to people as well. Because one thing to know how to trade, was another thing to actually know how to break it down to the average person, so they can get it too. So that's how I started. I started for free. Then I realized, okay, there's a lot of demand. I can monetize this. Um, and so I did, but it wasn't ever really the goal. It was just kind of like part of the path.
Definitely.
My biggest highlight was I did, do a trial to be an educator for a company. And, by doing that, I wasn't necessarily able to be in an educational position, but I was in a position that actually helped people make money through sending out trades. And I was sending out trades to tens of thousands of people, every single day. Um, and, I never knew how good I was trading, because I always saw people making more money than me. I don't come from, like, I already got 50K sitting in the bank account because my parents passed it down to me, or my father's highest form of education, he dropped out of high school. So, and my mother, she only had her associates that she got way after I was born. So, I don't come from people that just having money. So I didn't know how good I was until I was put up, I guess, side by side other people that were educators, and I realized, like, I could really, like, I've really put in so much work that I didn't even realize how fast I had, progressed.
Definitely.
Um, so it got really good at a certain point.
For sure. I mean, and with going through that type of journey, you know what I mean? I always believe that when someone takes Forex trading or any investment serious, you actually grow and change as a person. You know what I mean? Can you talk to me a little bit about that, as far as what has trading changed about you as a person?
You know, I would say the first thing that it did for me is it introduced me to entrepreneurship in a way where everybody understands the idea of entrepreneurship. They think of it as being a boss. That's what they think of entrepreneurship as. And it is, but it's more than that at the same time. Entrepreneurship is a mindset, right? It's a
Hmm.
lifestyle. It's a way you see things in life. And I saw things in life in a completely different way. So let's translate some things in trading to life. Number one, full accountability. See, an entrepreneur, they're not just the boss, they're actually the person that holds all the blame, right? At the end of the day, if the company fails, it is their fault. They are the only person's name that is on that company. So that's something that trading taught me early on, is that when I open up this trading account and I deposit the money, it is all me. No matter what happens from beginning to end, it is 100%, my fault. So it actually raised my level of accountability. It taught me one of the biggest lessons about life is that, a lot of bad things will happen to you, but it is part of the process. In trading, you have to deal with loss. Some people live their entire life, running away from experiences of loss. So I was very able. I'm a very able person to deal with a lot of loss in life, things not going the way I expect, because that's exactly what trading is, because you can't control the outcomes, right? So
Exactly.
all those things, became part of my very own character, where I was just able to grow in all the different challenges that trading presented. It reflected in my own life. Because of trading, I was able to quit a job, like, really just, yeah, I quit. I'm going to trading full time. And before trading, I don't know if that would have been possible if it wasn't for trading coming into my life. So yeah, it just gives a lot of opportunity to reflect, because all that accountability, you have no choice but to look at yourself and grow. You can't blame other people at a job. Why am I not progressing? Because that manager don't like me. Like, you could come up with some type of excuse in trading. There, it's just no excuses. You run out of them very quickly. You find out.
Definitely. No, that was
Hmm.
that was literally on the money. Because like you said, a lot of people run from losing, and it's just part of the game. Because as you know, you can lose more than you win, and still win the whole war. You know what I mean? It's just about kind of having those daily battles, and you look at the grand scheme in the war, and you're like, "Oh, we ahead, boys. We ahead."
Yeah, that's another thing too. People look at, let's say they have a multiple. things in their life that they're losing, and they feel like their life is going off track
Hmm.
because of what it looks like is going on in their life. But what I realized that in life, this is the number one thing that I learned from trading is that in life there's something called risk to reward. And in life, like I know in trading there's something called risk to reward, but also in life, meaning maybe you have a very low chance of certain things like going perfectly right in your life, but if you never attempt it, some of those opportunities in your life that may have come by, the reward on the other side probably would have been so big. But you were afraid to take that, tiny loss. You probably would have, got disappointed very quickly and you moved on with your life. But some of those things that you might have been able to try in your life or directions you could have went, maybe that just moving to a different side of town or to a different state or, going back to school, whatever it is for somebody, those little things like the reward on them could be so large. And that's what I realized is that you have to take a lot. It's not that you got to take big risks, but you do have to take a lot of risk in life. You have to try different things, otherwise you don't know what's on the other side. And that's another thing that I got from trading. I try not to talk myself out of something before I've even tried to do it.
Mm. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh, honestly, man, these are things that you're mentioning now, and it's just like that you're saying now, and we've had these conversations before, and it's just like every time I hear it, I'm like, "Yep, just keep talking, man, just keep talking." You know what I'm saying? Because
But yeah, that's the exact feeling right there.
like it's
Yeah.
just like I feel that truthfully, like you have to be strong minded to be a successful trader no matter what. Now when it
Yeah.
came down to trading and getting down to the point of being an educator, kind of talk to me about your process of finding your own strategy, because I feel like there's a lot of traders that come out and they see social media and they see this trader, this person that, I got this package, I got this, can you talk to me about your process of honing your strategy or finding
Man,
it?
yeah, that's very key. Excuse me, I kind of feel like I got a burp, but I just ate. But yeah, I've come across so many different strategies. I've learned a lot of them. Um, when I first started off, I was learning baby pips just like anybody else. Well, nowadays when people start off, they start off with some really nice strategies. But when I first started trading, there was no major like you did not have access to any advanced strategy. That was like $5,000 to $10,000 for
Hmm.
the stuff we get for free today on YouTube. Would have been $5,000 when I
Easy.
started.
Yeah.
5,000 easy, easy, easy. I mean, one session for somebody that knows the stuff that we know now on average, it would cost you $500 to $2,000 just for like a day session with that person one on one.
Hmm.
That's how valuable the knowledge was at that time. So my only option I was a broke college student at the time. I had to go to YouTube. I had to learn basic forex information, and it was definitely unsatisfying. It was horrible. And then eventually, I came across Steve Morrow's Market Maker Method, and just the fact that there was a methodology, I could learn patterns, I could learn methodologies, I could learn steps. That's a strength of mine. Once I started using that, I saw a way to increase, my probabilities and put them in my favor. Instead of winning, maybe 2 out of 10 trades, now I can win, half of my trades. That's how it got to that point. But then the struggle that I came across was I used to believe that when I saw something, because of how the training teaches you, like when I first came across my strategy, you got to be careful about how your mentor teaches the strategy. Because if they try to teach it to you as if when you see this, this is exactly what will happen, you may be confused with there's no risk because if you're seeing it, it can't play out any differently.
Hmm.
And now a lot of traders they start trying to increase their risks. They start trying to use larger lot sizes, use larger leverage because they feel like when this particular thing happens, it has to play out in a certain way. And I used to blow accounts because I thought that from the way I was being taught, it was like, hey, when this happens, and all these things line up, then this is exactly what will happen. I'll wait for that, and sometimes it wouldn't. So what that also led to me to do is I would say, well, this strategy must not work. That's what I thought. The reality is that almost all of these strategies work. Almost all of them. There's no right or wrong strategy. What I ended up doing was I ended up trying to find strategies that work more frequently so that I could risk more money, you know, and have a higher win probability. But at the end of the day, the probability will never be 100. So if you over leverage your account, even if you could win 9 out of 10, it only takes that one time to lose and set you, so far back.
Yeah.
So I learned market maker method, but of course, because of poor risk management, I assumed that I need to learn something new. So I invested in another education from like this ex bank trader. He was really good. He had a really high win rate, which attracted me. Like, I mean, his win rate was almost so clean. He would post his results, and it would be just no losses. But he had a really large account, and he didn't really go for much pips. He only go for like 10 pips. So, and he would wait for certain things to happen. And I mean, his win rate sometimes for the month would just be pure clean. And that's like, think about that. As someone who has the imagination of, look, I want to make a lot of money, and I don't want to be wrong. That was very attractive, and a lot of people did learn from him, just like myself. But it did help me. After learning from him, I had my first like 5-figure, weeks. After learning from him and combining it with some of the other things that I learned. Then after that, I also learned wave theory or Elliott wave, or however people want to say it these days. And after learning that, I mean, combining what I learned from him with the Elliott wave, oh my goodness, I was able to, if I could wait for the right conditions, yeah, win rate is like 70, 80% for those type of setups. If I actually wait for all the conditions to play out. So, I thought that I was where I wanted to be, but then I still realized that, dang, I didn't like having to wait for, that's actually funny. I ended up not liking to have to always wait for just my one thing. I felt like a one trick pony.
Mm.
Even I think my mentor at that time had even called it that. He was like, you learned how to cherry pick the market. And he was trying to, I guess, get me to a point where I could see more, right, than just that. But I did learn how to cherry pick the market. Like, I could cherry pick, and when these exact conditions set up, I'm probably 7, 8 out of 10, win rate. But I wasn't satisfied. I was like, why do I have to cherry pick when I kind of do want to understand more? I did have this little ego thing where I didn't want to just be a one trick pony. I would have to sit to the side when certain things were happening, and it had nothing to do with what I knew. And that would suck sometimes. So I went on to learn something else because I saw other people that were able to enter with reason, with logic, in trades that I hadn't learned how to enter, or why it would make sense to enter that way, where, my take profit for some people would have been their entry. And even though I was winning, I don't know, it just piqued my curiosity so much to say, okay, there's more to this. I need to know what it is. So then I went and started learning, smart money, institutional concepts, and things like that. And it completely messed up my trading. So, so then I went through a span of like completely, I just couldn't trade because I was dealing with two methodologies that they actually go very well together. But while I was learning at an entry level, smart money, if you're introduced to it wrong, it definitely can mess you up if you're introduced to it in the wrong type of way. And I feel like for the most part, I was introduced in the wrong type of way. So, but eventually I stuck to it. I learned it. And then we got to kind of where we are now, where, yeah, I can kind of see what's going on for the most part, but that's really not the goal of trading. But that's where my strategy thing went. Like, I continue to change strategies because of some type of feeling of incompleteness. But now, and I don't want to make this answer long, but now it's actually less about the strategy and it's becoming more about the money management.
Definitely, definitely, and that was actually a really good segue to my next question,
Yeah.
because that's like the biggest thing is what second thing I would say, outside of like strategy, that and risk management. Those are like the top two things that literally make or break people. So kind of talk to me about like your strategy with risk management, especially going through that time frame of changing strategies and really finding out what was best for you?
Yeah, so every strategy requires a different type of risk management
Mm-hmm.
depending on the win rate, depending on the risk to reward. Those are actually really the only two factors: win rate and risk to reward. Maybe market sentiment, other things can play a factor, but overall, like 90% of what will dictate your money management is going to be your win rate, your risk to reward, and within risk to reward is obviously is going to be dictated on how far your stop loss is from your entry. You know, average. That's going to dictate your money management. I just really had to come to the conclusion that you're better at trading when you do the same trick. It is a fact. You will get more consistent results being a one trick pony. You can be very knowledgeable and know a lot of different ways of trading, but you're going to get better results by being a one trick pony and really mastering and being very disciplined with a specific setup that you can trade. You want to be able to enter without making any mistakes, meaning like not unfollowing any rules that you should be following. And you want to be able to exit in the right way, meaning allowing it to get to where it's supposed to quote unquote get to, or exiting if it's invalidated for whatever reason or whatever the case may be. Um, but just to break down money management for anybody, I trade prop firm accounts. So I have, for the most part, retired from trading my own money. Um, which is so crazy. I traded my own money for so long, but for the most part, retired from trading my own money, and so now I look at all trading risk as somewhere from 1% or below. Right, max I'm looking at risk on the trade is 1%. The goal is to get to a quarter of a percent of risk, right? And you can do that. I mean, you can do that at any point, but I kind of want to do that once I get to the point of maybe having $400,000 to $500,000 in funded accounts. When it comes down to money management, you just have to trust the numbers. I can't even. I'm not going to make this complicated. You just have to trust the numbers. You have to back test your strategy. Know that eventually, if you keep looking for a certain type of setup that has a certain type of outcome, typically, if you know that that setup presents 1 to 8 risk to reward, and that maybe it occurs 1 out of every 3 times, 2 losses equals minus, let's say 1% risk every trade. 2 losses equal minus 1%, but the one win equals +6. It equals +8, but minus the 2 losses, it'll be +6%. That's all risk management is you got to trust the numbers, use the same amount of risk, and just execute your specific setup each and every time without prejudice. Because if you've done the work on that setup, shouldn't really be questioning what's going to happen, because we don't control how the market reacts. All right, so that's really it, and just trusting that process and becoming a robot. Yeah,
Become a
becoming a
robot.
robot.
No,
Yeah,
definitely.
and yeah, you don't want to eliminate the emotions, but you don't want them to play a major factor in taking the trade.
Mm. Taking a trade out of
That's right.
desperation can lead to a huge loss.
Right. The trade can't be it can't be emotionally motivated. Like, emotions can be involved in a trade, but they can't be motivated by a trade. Can't be motivated by emotions. That's it. So it can't be emotional greed, fear missing out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. You gotta get rid of that
No,
and put
definitely.
those things in check.
No, that's 1000% correct. You know what I mean? Because with having that proper money management, would you agree with having that proper money management is like the biggest thing to walk away from a losing day? Because that's like one of the biggest things a lot of new traders struggle with, and some intermediate traders struggle with too. Is like say if you're on start your Monday off, you have a loss, Tuesday loss, Wednesday little loss, you're going into your Thursday, Friday, and you're like, man, how do you come in strong to that after having consecutive losses, even while having good risk
That's
management?
that's a good question. Um, I can say how I'll say how other people can kind of look at it, and I also say how I deal with it as well. But lately, I've watched a lot of basketball. Right, I went and got NBA TV, League Pass, or whatever, and I think about these championship teams and how through the season they don't go perfect. They do lose a lot of games, and sometimes they go on 2, 3 game, 4 game losing streaks. But they still have to, keep it together. They don't just go and trade everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't start. They don't just completely disrupt their sets and their plays and the way that they play the game. Just because a few games didn't go their way. And at some point, one of those teams are able to win a championship, and a lot of them, get a lot of success. And I think about that when I think about trading, is that trading is a season, it's not a game.
Okay.
And what you're trying to do is, in a sense, make it to the playoffs, right? You're trying to get to a point where you have, and this is where I had to really start thinking about it, is that you're trying to get to a point where you have cushion.
Yep.
Um, Another thing that I notice in the sports is that sometimes they rest the players.
Mm.
So if in the NBA, if they rest the players, why don't sometimes I rest trading some of the different pairs or some of the different setups that I'm playing right now, or maybe rest a few days or rest some sessions so that I could stay, sharp because I'm trying to win the season, not the day.
Mm.
And when I think about that, it allows me to say it is absolutely okay to, if I didn't start off on the right track, or if things aren't looking right, it's okay to say, all right, let me take this day off. Let's take a step back, from this day, because if I risk everything on this day and on the situation, then I won't be able to make it to the playoffs. I won't be able to get to the point where my account has that cushion, that freedom space. Like everybody, I think some people have felt what it's like to have cushion. It's a different type of trading when your account, let's say you got a 100K funded account, or maybe you got like a $2,000 regular account, and for whatever reason you're up from a $2,000 account to $5,000. That's a whole different space
Mm-hmm.
of mind and frame of mind. And what that's the first step is, you're number one, you're trying to get to the point of having that cushion. You're trying to get that's what I think is the playoffs. And then from the playoffs, right, is you're trying to get to the championship. The championship is whatever your trading goal is. Like, what is your goal to hit for the year? Where are you trying to make it to? And that's how I look at it, is that if the sports team, my favorite players, can take a day off, or take a loss, and not blow up and not ask to be traded or want to quit, on that particular day just because things didn't go their way. Like, we can do it too as traders. That day is really not that important. And every time I look at the market, I look back and I review for the week, I really look and see how there was never an important individual life-changing day. It never was. There's never been a day that was so unlike another day that happened in another week, or in another month, or in another year. It just hasn't. And I don't know why, when as a young trader, it just felt like a certain day, a certain session, a certain situation just was so important, or just so dire, that I needed to continue to trade or try to make back a loss or whatever in that day. It's literally insane. But yeah, once you take a step back, for anybody that's new that's watching this, you really start to learn that there will always be bigger and better trades. 1,000%. Amazing trades. 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 30 trades. And they're literally just the next day. You don't even have to wait long. Seriously, you don't even have to wait long. It's always there. And feel like if you don't feel like it's actually there for you, you have not put in enough work to be able to see and realize you got to put in some more work. You got to, dive more deeper into your strategy, so that can be a real thing. Because that's another thing, is belief. Ultimately, that's the answer to the question: is why do people struggle with stopping on a losing day? Is because they don't believe. That's it. They just don't believe that the market is unlimitedly fruitful. right? They don't believe that the market just bears an unlimited amount of opportunity that they can't even possibly conceive. They don't believe that yet. They believe that the market taketh away, right? And that's it. And that's how they look at it. So, that you gotta change your beliefs about the market so that you could, in the day as a quote unquote loser, but the day doesn't make you a loser. Just like one game doesn't make you a loser, for your favorite sports team. That's how I look at it.
No, that is powerful. You know what I'm saying? As you're laying it out, I was like, dang, this is like a season. Like, oh, you don't got to win every game to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, and what's funny is when you lose a trade, there's another trader that's winning. So it's literally a sport to a certain extent.
No, 1,000%.
It definitely is a sport of skill and
Definitely.
belief.
And definitely,
Hmm.
and now I love that you mentioned prop firms as well too, because prop firms have, I would say maybe in the last, like, they've been around for a while, but I would say more so getting very popular in the past like year or two, and more prop firms are propping up more day after day after day. What can you say about risk management with starting a prop firm? I would say that is something I even get asked about, as just asking for my own personal advice. But what is your way of going about, starting off like your phase one to get to that 8 or 10%, and then getting that phase two done? What would you say is like your risk to reward going through that?
That's a good question. Uh, as long as you're probably starting off with like let's say like an account that has 10 to 12 overall drawdown, I believe that if you really put in the work, like if you haven't mastered what you're trying to do and then you take a profit account, then you need to risk as little as possible. Uh, 0.5% will probably be best. But if you like know exactly what you're doing, like exactly what you're doing, and you have a strategy that on average can pull out at least 25, 30%, 40% of the time, 1 to 5, 1 to 6 risk to reward, then there's two ways you can go about it. Actually, you can go about it where you start off with 1%, and if the first trades go well, then you can actually turn it up a little bit, 1.5, 1.25. You can add a little bit, maybe what you call pyramiding or compounding into your trades.
Mm,
But let's say you don't want to do it that way, then you want to start off 0.5%, get a cushion of 1 to 2%, and then you use the cushion to take your regular risk, which would be the 1%.
nice.
There's no right or wrong way. It's not like there's just one way. People have passed the accounts in all sorts of ways, but this is the way that I would look at it. And let's say your first trade is a loss. I say maybe you have one more to do at 1%, but then after that point, you want to start with half a percentage. You want to now reduce it because you don't want it to get more intense in terms of like the pressure of like the comeback pressure. The comeback pressure, some people don't do well under the get my account back up pressure.
Mm,
They reduce the risk. And once again, like I said, market is fully abundant. You could probably pass the account off of a 0.5% risk, even from being down. I've done it actually. You could do that for sure, you know, with the right, patience and the right setup. So that's how I would say is that, you're looking at 1% risk or 0.5%. That's for phase one. For phase two, it's pretty much the same play. But what I would want to say is that you're so close to getting to the live account, you want to go ahead and swing it out 0.5% risk, to close it up. I've lost a lot of phase twos being only 1% away because I tried to make it happen today by increasing the risk. I say keep it low.
mm,
I say keep it low because one thing that feels bad, really bad for traders is being so close and then having to feel like you have to start back from square one. So let's say you're up 4%, all you need is 1% to pass. Maybe you get knocked back down to just only having 1% or break even or slightly negative, feeling like you just did a lot of work for no reason, which is not, but feeling like it, can really mess up with your psychology. So I say, close that out with proper risk management. Just keep taking good trades. Don't try to over leverage yourself past the finish line.
mm-hmm.
Not worth it. You gotta look at it like a season, not just like trying to win the game all in one day. or trying to win the season all in one game. I guess that's one way you could say it. It doesn't make any sense, right? So that's what I would say for the risk. And then once you go live, if I were to say for anybody, the live account has no goal. And because it has no goal, and because that money is it's yours, but it's not yours, like you didn't pay for the money. Like you're not going to reap the risk. Like I personally don't ever see myself losing another live account because the way I'm looking at it is that is money that you can leverage. You should be a phenomenal money manager, and your main like mission is to preserve capital. Maybe stop looking at your account like money. Maybe look at it like a house or like a car, like something you have to take care of and that you want to last a long time. And maybe it can bring you in cash flow, but ultimately you need to preserve it. You're not just going to risk your house every other day, like, for fun. That's not what you would do. And that's how I want to look at it. You're looking to preserve it because you're looking to last until the playoffs, right? And
Yeah,
then you're looking to hit that goal, and that could be a long season, and that can be a lot of ups and downs in between. And trading is really about. Many times I feel like outlasting other traders that you're kind of going against in a sense. I feel like it is like that. It really is about outlasting other people. A lot of times I've seen in the worst market conditions where a lot of traders lose, whether it be high volatility or maybe really low volatility, like what we've seen over the holidays that can kill a lot of traders, is right after that where some of the like insane opportunities come. And I always found that very funny, where really bad conditions happen where most traders do lose, and then something just so smooth and so profitable so often tends to happen right after. Um, so I feel like it's very important to like be able to outlast, and that's why I feel like money management is probably the most important part for trading
definitely.
at this point.
Definitely, definitely. Now that's amazing. Now, just like you said, that live accounts don't have a goal to them. What would you recommend? Like, do you have a recommended goal? Because with certain accounts, you can pull out once a month, twice a month, whatever it may be. Do you ever just find that you get to a point where you just completely stop trading for the month?
If it's your first, that's exactly what I did, and I recommend it for everybody. At almost every prop firm account or prop firm that you register with, they will give you what you pay for that account in your first payout. So because of that, I personally recommend just being slightly profitable. If things happen in a certain type of way, I say stop at 2%. Regardless of the size of the account, stop at 2%. Let yourself get the first payout of 2% plus your refund. And I say like don't trade after that. Period. Then after that, now that you are technically you're not only slightly profitable, you also have your investment back. uh, I would say now you maybe can trade a little bit differently, but the goal is still money management. At no point it's like trying to get rich. And I even told one of my mentees this the other day that even like trying to be a six-figure trader, I feel like it's overrated. It's overrated. It's overrated. I feel like if you put too much emphasis on trying to be a six-figure or seven-figure trader, like there's so many other ways to make money. Maybe you only needed to make $4,000 to invest in something else to make six figures. You know what I'm saying? Like it,
Mm,
it's very small minded actually when I really look back and think about it to just be so high heidi ho on just making money this way when this is actually like the well that's supposed to pour into other things essentially because you can't turn this on and off however you want. People make it seem like that's how trading works, but it's not like that. So you may be better catching at some of the water than others, but you're not going to catch it all whenever you want. It just doesn't work like that. So you know that's how I started to start look at things as I like meditate more and more on like what this business of trading and this opportunity is. It's really crazy. I've been meditating on like 8 years now, and it still never ceases to amaze me like the different levels of like how you can do it and how you can look at this is really amazing. But that's the way I look at it now.
definitely, Definitely. No, that's awesome, man. I definitely appreciate that. Um, Man, you've honestly dropped so many gems. Like, yo, oh god.
So I think about this stuff a lot. I feel like it's my job.
Like, yo, man, I might have to change the caption on this interview or something. Like, I don't know, like something, man. This has been amazing. Like, I really want to thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, no, I definitely want to keep this going, man, because at the end of the day, mindset will make or break you. Mindset will make or break you, time and time after again. Can you talk to me about how you even start your day? How do you slide into your chair? How do you, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get your mind right to even prepare for these type of daily battles or these daily games leading to the playoff?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. A lot of people talk about the morning routine. With discipline, you'll probably need a morning routine less once things become second nature, like subconsciously. You're able to just execute. But in the beginning, I think it really is important to not start your day straight to trading. That is very important. There's a lot of issues with just going straight to trading. Like you should definitely start your day not worried about trading. Like it should honestly be not an issue on your mind. Like it shouldn't be like because if you start it and you feel like you need to rush to the charts because you feel like you're going to miss something, you're already on the wrong frequency. That's first off. So, you should start your day, chill. You should start your day with reflection. You start your day with, deep breaths, drinking some water, putting some food on your stomach. Trading while hungry is not a good sport. You will lose. You cannot trade hungry. You absolutely cannot trade hungry. People talk about this a lot, but they say that your stomach is your second brain. It is very true. That's why women get, no offense to women, but that's why they get so aggy when they're hungry, right? That's the whole little joke about that. It's because they cannot think. They cannot think. Some people say that your stomach is like your emotional brain. So if you start doing irrational stuff on the charts and you haven't even started the day with a good meal or something to get your blood sugar right, yeah, you're going to have a horrible trading day after a certain amount of time. This is all some real deep stuff, but some people don't know this at all. Like, they don't know why they're doing what they're doing, and this is probably one of the reasons. Of course, making sure you had good sleep, stuff like that. Meditation. I'll talk about this. At one point in my trading, maybe about 4 years in, I got to a point where I was starting to make the most money, but because of that, I started having a lot of anxiety about trading. So I just felt like so much was on the line. I was just seeing so much money, like just knowing that on my chart at any day, my monthly income would be on, I could be taking that, potentially taking profit on that right now, or even be in drawdown for that, at that moment. I guess there was like this threshold where I crossed where I was like, it was a paradigm shift and I didn't know how to deal with it. So I had a lot of anxiety about trading and I actually started doing like mindfulness meditation. And it helped me a lot.
Definitely.
So if anybody deals with anxiety about trading, then I would definitely say, yo, in the morning, you got to start with some mindfulness meditation. You really got to let go. Um, I check news, I check news. And then after I check news, I'll go to the higher time frames. I try to remind myself, what the outlook is. Typically, all my charts are prepared by the weekend, though. Like everything, all my checkpoints are pretty much prepared. But I'm just trying to remind myself on the daily what's happening. I'll probably check some correlating pairs to see if things are lining up. And then I just wait for certain time slots. There are certain times when the market is very reactive to the time of day, and I'll see if those times of day are reacting at key levels, and then I'll see if they have confirmations at those levels, and if they do, then I just try to just go from there. Keep it simple.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, do you mind pulling up a chart so we can kind of see a little bit more of like your method to the madness?
I never thought you would ask.
He's like, just get to the charts, man.
But yeah, I have an example. I actually have an example of a setup. So let me see if I can share my screen here. Applications, screens, entire screen. We can go entire screen. Interviews, resolution, frame rate, go live. All right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are you able to see my chart now?
Mm-hmm.
USC JPY, right?
Yes.
Yes. All right, cool. So I will just show one setup and I'll break down a few parts of how we'll look at it. But let's just start from this past week. Okay, so I'll just mark off where the week started, which would be here, Thursday, Friday, Monday, here. Okay, so the week started here. This is a daily chart, and I'm starting from a daily chart because I have no choice. Because this is probably the most important, you know, part to trading is really looking at the market from a daily perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that I noticed about USD JPY was that USD JPY was extremely. It has been in a downtrend, right? This is
Oh
very
yeah.
obvious. We have multiple, structural breaks. So you have that one, and you have this one. So this is just actually areas where on the daily time frame the market has actually closed below a low from the past. So seeing that, I anticipated that we'll probably have a bearish week, but it's really more about okay, well where would they go bearish from? I feel like it was a pretty large range. So let's actually drop down to the 4 hour, which I believe is a much clearer view. It's actually really nice to see. So reminder, this is where the week started. And last thing that the market did was it took out a intermediate high. So what I call this, for any of my traders out there that aren't familiar, is I call this internal, buy side liquidity. So what does that mean? Right? In the simplest form, buying orders take place here. They take place here for two different reasons. One of the reasons they take place here is because people have buy stops above this high for the market to break up and go higher. The second reason is buy side liquidity is because anybody that was selling, whatever their stop loss is a buy order because in order to close out your order, you have to place the opposite order. So what has accumulated above this high is multiple orders of some form of buys, right? So it's buy side liquidity. And the market, actually targeted this area. And this was from a daily perspective. This is where they hit. On the daily, this is just a wick, right? The candle closes pretty well below. So it definitely is a nice rejection, right? It's not a daily break to the upside. They just actually took out any orders above here. So they targeted people's buys, right? Buy stops, stop losses, whatever. With that happening, my next target would have been back below this low, which would be where people's sales would be. Okay, sell stops, um, people's stop losses from anybody that was buying, right? That's where the orders would be. So our week starts off in the middle, right? How about that? I mean, almost perfectly starts off like right in the middle. Let's measure it, right? So if I'm not mistaken, where's the candle? Yeah, I think it literally opens at the 50%. How insane is that, right? The market really makes no mistakes. This is a very cool algorithm thing. So for anybody that wants to go buys or anybody that wants to go sells, you really can't even make a strong decision because it opens at the middle of the range. So this is a range. So it is logical that hey, it could come back up and take out the orders above these two even highs, or it's just as logical for it to come below this low. They start off right in the middle. So how do you go about, making a decision for this week? Well, one of the first things you're going to do is you have to wait. So number one, no, check this out. You literally have to wait. See, on Sunday, which we'll go to the 1 hour, and then we will add on the days to the chart. Okay, we'll add on the days because this will all literally start to make sense, like on a really high level too. So this is our week, and once I break this down, I mean, it's going to get scary. It's going to get scary. So let's actually run through how the market decides to run through the week. So this is the first day. This is Monday. Monday, the first thing it does is it attacks the lows. It does that for Asian session, and it creates this midweek low. Then, in the same day for London, it creates a high. And then, in the same day for New York, it drops right back down, almost makes a nearly a double bottom with the low from that day. So literally Sunday was just an up and down day. There's no swinging. It was pointless to even try to pick a direction. They induced buyers for people that expected up. They induced sellers for people that expected down. They are manufacturing a smaller time frame range, and they're building liquidity. Right? They're getting and accumulating orders. There are people that bought from these lows and expected the market to come up higher. And vice versa, there were people that, as this dropped during New York, they sold. It's not a bad sell. None of these trades are bad trades, but they put their stop losses above this high. Okay, let's look at how the market treats that. For Tuesday, it's a very consolidated day, and we're not surprised. There was something funny about last week. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember one of those days being, I mean, insanely consolidative. I don't know if it was from news or something, but it was trash. And then what we do is from Monday and Tuesday, we basically get nothing. Tuesday literally plays within that entire range. Guys, when you have an inside day, when you have a day that just plays inside a range, you know what they're about to do. They're going to attack the liquidity outside of that range eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what happens for this one is that they actually attack the buy side liquidity from the week. So they took out what was the previous high of the week. And this is where things start. At the least, after them doing that, you'll normally get them to at least come and attack that low that was created on Monday. Okay? That's at the least. But we have, of course, we're in a huge downtrend, so they do way more than that. But let's actually look at the setup. So that's how you like frame the narrative of like, okay, what is even like, how do you even think about this market as like a character versus just like, just candles going up and down and just trying to, ride the wave. So that's what you have. You have this is the high of the week. This is the low of the week. It was all framed on Sunday. Tuesday stays inside that range. Wednesday makes the first attempt and actually breaks outside and takes out buy side liquidity. Now, what you want to notice is that we're on the 1 hour. They give you 1 hour, one hour candle outside, and basically the rest are just bearish candles. Like, I mean, they never even give you anything more than that. And the way that I look at it is that this 1 hour candle, once it's engulfed, right, it is a marker. It is a marker that I would call an order block. The next thing that I'll be looking for is a change of structure. And here, the market shows me that it can change structure by coming down lower. It actually makes a slightly lower low than here, right? They kind of give this little push up, but then, I mean, it gets completely destroyed after this 1 hour bearish candle, right? I'm not sure why, what happened there, if that's news or not, but yeah, they completely drop out of this. After that, I mean, it's just completely bearish. But on a lower time frame, everything in here, right? This area here, which is a horrible time of day. This is that funny stuff that they do. Horrible time of day to enter, but it would be a good trade. But here goes the normal trade that you could take, which would be somewhere in this area right here, which is inside of this order block. And below, this is very key, below that high of buy side liquidity. Then returning back below this high and rejecting from breaking outside of it, what I really do like to see, right? So this is a entry area
Nice.
with the stop loss above the high of that order block candle, right? Stop loss would be above here. So then the next thing that we're looking at is targets. All right. The next thing we're looking for is targets. So the next first target, of course, like I said, would be the low of the week, which also is kind of like a double bottom. You have these two even lows that are very close. So relative equal lows, that's the first target. And then before they take the low, we get EPI. So a big old news event that drops, pushes up, right? Does all this extra stuff, pushes down, pushes up again, and then finally breaks a low. And then for Friday, we just continue to drop. But all of this move, which is like, I don't know, maybe 400 pips or something.
Goodness gracious. It's a great
Yeah,
week.
believe it or not.
Great
Yeah,
week.
on a midweek reversal on a Wednesday, we 500 over 500 pips in 2 days, right? Because the middle Wednesday, it just takes literally Thursday and Friday. And this is like the setup starts from 7 a.m. candle. It's above the high at 8 and 9. Well, 8 by 9, we are engulfing. And then for lunch, they're giving you the setup off the order block. And it goes to 500 pips. And it's literally as simple as, I'm not annotating anything, but it literally is as simple as we took out stop losses, and then we just confirm direction change by structure and by respecting the order block. So, it's not like, oh, you take this trade from here and you're just going to magically hold it all the way down to the bottom. No. Reality is you're going to more than likely take out majority of your profits here. Right? Me personally, I probably would have took 50% off here. Because even though this trade plays out perfectly and makes me look like a magician, the reality is that there are situations where this exact same setup will happen. They'll break this low and then they'll shoot back up right above these two highs and then they'll drop. It's a whole pattern that happens. Right? It doesn't always happen like this. So actually, you'll take out majority here. You take off more than 75 or more here, and then the rest you just leave with a stop loss moved into profit. That's how that trade would work. And just to kind of put it for anybody, like, you could take those type of partials. Why? Look at the risk to reward, guys. Remember, stop loss is right at this high. All right. And let's just say you held it to Friday, New York. We're talking like 1 to 13. Right? 1 to 13 is a really good trade. So, with all that being said, this is just a small portion of how I would trade. There are other ways to enter. Like, you could have even entered as the market was going down. There are definitely plenty of little entry opportunities that I see and can break down. But the most basic part of this is the draw on that liquidity that is above a previous high from earlier in the week. That is very important that we have to look at. We have to look at what Monday and Tuesday has set up for us. And oftentimes Wednesday, you'll be able to play off of what Monday and Tuesday has done. That's why the midweek reversal stuff is so important. Because if it is starting off as a consolidative beginning week, like, trust me, eventually the market will run, and come Wednesday, it'll start to reveal where they're going first. So that's one example. I don't know if you have any specific chart questions, but I don't want to give away all the sauce. We'll be on here all day.
Oh no, oh no. We've spent hours and hours, you know what I mean, on charts. And so no, I definitely love that. My other question is that with SRT and liquidity, what would you say for those that are trading using SRT, but don't quite know about liquidity yet? Because I would say for
It's
myself, that was like a big thing. Like I understood SRT. I was like, oh yeah, that touches there, 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 there. You know what I mean? But liquidity, that is like next level. You know what I mean?
What is SRT again? Is that
Uh,
support and resistance?
yeah, support resistant trend line.
Support resistance trend line. All right, I forget what people add the trend line part to it. But yeah, support resistance trend line. Um. Okay. I want to be careful because I don't like to make anybody feel like they're doing something wrong. Because there are people that make money with support resistance trend lines.
Hmm.
But what I will say is that if you ever felt dissatisfied trading from that way, is because there is another way to view the market. That and in that way to view the market, you will look at support and resistance and trend lines as actual targets of where the market will go to, as opposed to areas where the market will respect. Um, so I would say you can look for another way of trading if that's the way you trade and you're dissatisfied. If you're trading that way and you're just so profitable and doing well, then don't change nothing, right? Don't change nothing. I showed you some stuff that you never seen before, but you've been doing well. Don't change it. It's okay to have your own style at this. But if you are dissatisfied and it's not making sense and you feel like you feel like more of a victim in the market than you feel like the sheep more than like the wolf in the market, then that's because there are people that are more skilled and the way they look at your strategy is an opportunity for them to make money off of you, and that's what that is. So
Yeah,
yeah, I would
definitely.
just say look for a more dominant strategy that just gives you a higher win rate, whatever that strategy is. I'm not here to say that one strategy is the right strategy because some people honestly just aren't. This is a fact. I don't believe everybody's capable of understanding the same strategies. There are some strategies that some people are actually, I feel, more capable of learning than other types of strategies. I do believe that. I believe because of prior experience, the way some of our minds work, some strategies work better for some people than others, and you definitely have to use a strategy that relates to you.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I don't want you to keep giving out more and more sauce here because tell the people about where they can find you. You know what I mean? Talk to them about that.
uh Instagram, right? I don't even want to get on my Instagram. It's a lot of fake pages, but my Instagram is tradesmart.z. So if you do choose to follow me, immediately send me a DM. Just say, hey, just followed you. And keep that because there are fake pages that look at who follows me recently and they will immediately follow you back before I follow you, right? They're going to follow you before I follow you. And then they're going to DM you and ask you, how's your trading? And they're going to try to get you to spend money and pay them for something and you'll never hear from them again. And you're going to think it's me. But it's not me. So that's where to find me. That's really where you'll most find me. I try to honestly stay off of Instagram, but I do have Twitter if you could find me. I do have YouTube. You should be able to find it under TradeSmart as well, or is it Zakar Dosey? Um, what else do I have? I do have, and you can find me on Telegram too. You actually can find me on Telegram, but click the link in my bio. I have a free um, audio on there for trading psychology for any traders that just want some extra value when it comes down to how to think about trading. I have a few interviews on there as well, and also free Telegram for anybody that just wants to keep up with me. Some of the trades that I'm sending out or some of the trades that I'm taking myself. But that's really it. Thank you, Rome. I appreciate you. I'm glad we could actually do this call.
Nah, definitely, bro. I really appreciate you as well, man. Like, this is something that I'm really excited for because I definitely wanted to make sure I focus this year with just helping other people learn more and expanding their own knowledge. And I definitely think that you're such a key, vital player, bro. That there's just there's no way I couldn't have talked with you. You know what I mean? There's just no way I couldn't have. And so I just want to say thank you again, taking the time, away from family and all the things you could have been doing, to be able to do this here with us as well. So I definitely want to thank you as well.
Man, appreciate it. We can do this anytime. I'm excited. Maybe we could do like a live call or session, with the community or something. Just marking up the charts, taking questions, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm all about educating everybody. I don't think there's anybody that really desires this. It should be like held back from learning. The thing about trading is that if let's say we had a community of 50 people, it is nothing wrong with all of us making money together, right? We not in competition,
Hey, you'll make
right?
more money with strangers than you will with your own family.
Especially in forex, especially in forex.
Yeah, yeah. But hey, man, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to that day as well with the private session. I know the community would definitely be appreciative of it as well too. I'm gonna end up texting you. We'll be talking.
All right, peace.
Thank you, dog.